What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 24 of To the Show We Go. I have a full house today. It's not Ed Hand today. It is Jamie Gatlin and Chris Henrique with me today. So definitely, it's just like old times, like we used to do. And our guest today is we were just talking off air. It's our third Mizzou Tiger of the offseason with Josh Lester and Nathan Landry in previous episodes. So if you're a big Mizzou guy listening to this, go listen to those as well. But we have Ian Bedell. Ian, just wanted to see how your offseason was treating you so far.
So far, so good. After the season, I took 2 weeks off, went back home for a couple days, then went down to Springfield, Missouri to see my girlfriend, and drove all the way out to Scottsdale, Arizona, where I've been for the off season. And the second week that I was here, I met my dad in Taos, New Mexico, and drove 8 hours back the other way to have a weekend with him, go hiking and fishing there, and then come back. So it's been eventful, but it's been good.
Holy cow. Yeah, it's I feel like this year has probably been just on top of, coming back from the Tommy John and pitching again. I feel like it's just been a crazy year. I did want to dive into that a little bit though, is I guess just what was your mindset like coming into the season, being healthy again, and just I guess what was going through your mind as you got back to the mound this year?
Finally healthy. I think they say it takes 18 to 24 months for you to feel, I guess, not perfect, but normal again. And after the year in 2022, I took 3 weeks off from throwing, picked the ball back up, and it felt noticeably different. And from that point, just have kind of flown through. The whole off season felt good. The biggest goal was just to come into spring training feeling confident again. I thought coming into spring training in 21, I thought my stuff was about as good as it had ever been. It was up there with when I was playing in the Cape Cod League. So I was really excited, and then blew out and then had to wait the entire time. So getting back to that feeling of confident and having my stuff in the zone again in 23 was the biggest key. And then that kind of helped propel me forward throughout the entire year. But didn't really have any hiccups with my arm. There was like general soreness here and there as to be expected, but I wasn't really fighting through anything. So it was nice to finally be healthy again.
Jamie,
Yeah.
you're up. Sorry about that.
Okay. How would you say you've changed as a pitcher, since leaving Mizzou and through your time so far in the minors?
The biggest thing I would say is just I learned a slider instead of throwing a spike curveball, which is what I used to throw in high school and then in college. I mean, it was horrible in high school. Like I threw fastball changeup really. And I threw a curveball, but I threw hard enough so people would still I would get horrible swings on it, thinking that it's good. And then I got to college and realized, okay, this thing is terrible. Finally learned an okay curveball around my sophomore year. And then after Tommy John, never found it again. Still haven't found it. Tried to mess around with it. Can't find it. Need to go to Target, try and find it. I don't know. But the slider, I was messing around with one of the guys I was in rehab with, Griffin Roberts. He was a first rounder out of Wake Forest, and I think the 2018 draft. But he had like a 70 or an 80 grade slider. It was stupid. It was a wiffle ball. But just working with him, trying to learn a slider was the biggest key. And then just learning a little bit better of pitch sequencing, pitching behind, having to throw some right on right changeups, mix things up. Just more so, I won't say diving into the analytics because it wasn't really that, but just understanding what you do well and how can you continue to do that well when behind in the count, ahead in the count, and being able to execute better than you did in college.
Yeah. Is there anyone in the Cardinals that you've kind of looked to a lot to just help pitching wise, whether it be a coach or some of your teammates?
I would say me and my catcher, Jimmy Crooks. He just got drafted out of Oklahoma last year. Since this was my first year really working in as a pitcher in pro ball, just talking with sequencing and everything like that, just throughout the game of, hey, why did you throw this certain pitch with this guy, or why did you not go with Radjick's curveball more, stuff like that. Just trying to get a better understanding. Tim Levesque he's our pitching coordinator. He's been helpful. I haven't had a ton of time with him just because he's more so down in Florida and wasn't really like with rehab, like he was there sometimes, but it was just, all right, we need to get you feeling better so that way we can actually get back to work. So then he popped up in Beloit, whenever that was, like a month or a month and a half left in the season, and told me that I need to start throwing more left on or right on left sliders. I was only throwing it like 14% of the time, but it was statistically my best pitch to them. And then the next week I went out in Lake County and threw, I don't know, probably 15 plus right on left sliders and got a ton of swing and misses and got some Ks. But they also threw out 8 of 9 hitters as lefties. So it made it incredibly easy to work on that. Now, I mean, I still gave up a homer on one of them. I hung it. It was bad. Dude, he probably hit it 430 down right center. But regardless, I mean, just little tidbits of that, like information like that, of just learning how we can pitch better and be more effective.
And so I guess I actually was going to ask you a question about the slider, but you kind of you went in on your own, so I love that. But did you ever find yourself? So I know you said Griffin was like a big, a person that kind of helped you develop that. Like, was throughout the year when you were in Peoria, were you just kind of comparing like grips with it just to see if you could mess with velo, anything like that? Like, or was it after Griffin kind of showed you the way, you're like, this is how I'm going to throw it for the rest of the time?
So right now I'm not really messing with the grip. I've talked with a few pitching guys, not with the Cardinals, just like off season, like training places. And one of the things that they mentioned is, I've never known this before, but apparently you can be middle finger or pointer finger dominant with pitches. And apparently I'm pointer finger dominant. So shifting over from the slider being on the laces being on the middle finger to the pointer finger is apparently, in theory, going to help me throw it a little harder and spin it better. So I'm going to try messing around with that. We'll see how it goes. But in relation to Peoria, I didn't really mess with the grip at all. Like Griffin kind of showed me the grip, kind of how to throw it, and then I had to like learn my own cue of how I wanted to throw it. He thought about a ping pong paddle and a ball, of literally trying to create as much spin as possible. And I don't spin the ball like that. He can. I don't have that. So I had to think of how can I get the same effect with a little different of a cue, and mine was just trying to reach out and touch my partner's right shoulder and spin the ball. So like he thinks ping pong paddle, I think I got to reach, and I get a little slider, whereas he got a giant one. But hey, it works. It works.
Yeah, I learned a lot about that this past year, just being around some guys that had a veteran throwing partner per se in AAA. If they're a young guy, they had a veteran, and he was just like, oh, well, this guy's throwing it this way. And I was able to add like 3 mile per hour on this slider just by gripping it differently. It kind of opened my eyes to just like everybody kind of throws it a little different, and it could work for some guys, couldn't work for others. So I was curious on that, if you had maybe taken some pointers over the year after you had initially learned it. So that actually leads me to my next question here. And you kind of brought it up a little bit. Did I see you were working out at Cressy this offseason?
I have worked out at Cressy's the last, I guess, 2 of the last 3. When I had surgery, I did my rehab at the facility in Jupiter. And then this year I'm at Terra Sports. I wanted to live with my college roommate, Trey Dillard. So decided to come out west and see what the off season is out here. But I had been at Cressy's last year and then in 21.
So since you recovered there, went through your rehab and everything, I'm sure that place holds a little special place in your heart.
Oh, absolutely. I love that place.
So I know there's a ton of guys that are down at Cressy even right now. And I'm seeing them post all over Instagram, and it's just like they have some guys out there. So what was that like, I guess, just being down there in Jupiter and being around some good talent while you were going through the rehab process?
It was incredibly helpful. Just like you're foam rolling next to Michael Waka. Like I played golf quite a bit with Tanner Houck, just another Mizzou guy. But just learning, like talking to other minor leaguers, occasionally big leaguers, about how they go about certain things, getting to watch what they do during training. It's extremely helpful.
And I guess that doesn't hurt that it's right in the backyard of the Cardinal spring training complex.
I mean, it does make it easy.
Yeah.
It does make it easy.
How was Houck on the golf course?
The dude can hit a mile. I think he hits a 7-iron like 210 yards. It's stupid.
Man, dude, it's all right. That's good to know. I mean, it's there's another Mizzou. We were talking about him off air, but Nathan Landry, he is probably the worst golfer that has that it's admitted how bad he is. But he's a Canadian, so we're gonna let it slide because he can't golf that long. So now looking, well, Chris, actually, I feel like we've been hogging the mic from you here. You got anything for me right now?
Well, let's circle back just really quick. I wanted to ask you because you had mentioned, after you had gotten Tommy John and how you were, it takes that time frame, that 18, 24 months for you to start to feel yourself. Your first appearance back, you went 2 2/3, punched out 7. How is that just for you to kind of like set your confidence, knowing like that was like to come back, you go, 2 2/3 and you get the 7 strikeouts. How did that go about just kind of setting up the, those next couple appearances for you?
That was a very big confidence boost. So I went through the start of spring training, struggling a little bit, just because I came into spring training having thrown to hitters in live BPs, I think 1 time. And then I showed up early to spring training as well, since I was already down there. So I joined the step camp, even though I technically wasn't being paid or invited, but I was allowed to join freely. And facing some veteran hitters definitely was helpful in that sense. And then when we actually got into the actual games of playing the Nationals and Mets and all that, I saw my stuff started to play a little better, just learning how to get back in the zone, because in 2022, it was not a spray and pray, but when I got to low A and having to play catch 5 hours before the game, whereas in the FCL, we would be the starter. So it was just super easy. You play catch and you're in the game instantly. So just learning all of those little things. And then launch padding into that first game against Cedar Rapids at home, I actually cut my finger, my ring finger, cleaning a knife opening day. So I wasn't able to throw the first 2 days. And every time I threw my changeup in that game, it split open a little bit, I had to super glue it. So I wasn't sure how the game was going to go. And then everything just fell into place. And I had my parents in the stands because Peoria, Illinois is only an hour and a half from where I grew up. So they got to come to a lot of the games. So having them in the stands for that, I was like, okay, this is really cool. And then things just launch padded off of that.
No other issues after that with the knife though, on your.
Oh no, it was literally just the 1 week. We just kept super gluing it, and then about a week later, it went away.
Did I see that right? You said Davenport, Iowa was only an hour and a half from Peoria?
Yep, hour and a half.
Wow.
From our apartment door to my home door was an hour and 28 minutes.
Okay. I have to give a shout out to the fiance. She is a Bradley alum. So I finally
Bradley.
Yeah. So I had to be taken back to a wedding there this past couple weekends ago. And it was my first time ever stepping foot in Peoria. She always said it was the streets were paved gold and all this stuff. She's Bradley girl. I'm like, all right, I get it. But I don't at the same time, but it's all good.
Yeah.
I did have a question though. So when you got to Peoria this year and you were, I just double checked your numbers were fantastic. So did they kind of tell you that you were going to be spending the whole year there, or was there ever, or were you kind of thinking okay, am I going to get that call up to Springfield?
About just before the entire time I thought that I was going to be, or have a chance to go up. And then around All-Star break, I got the news that I was going to be staying there, not directly saying that I was going to be staying there, but hinting that I would. So that second half, I kind of full-fledged knew. I couldn't really say to anybody who's oh, when are you going to go up? I was I don't know, whatever. But in the back of my mind, I kind of knew that I was going to be there. Not at the start, but halfway through the year, I knew.
And so what did that was it kind of like was it one of those things where you were just it was like a double-edged sword where you're like, man, that kind of stinks, but at the same time you're like, okay, I'm gonna go out here and really prove it. And I'm like, I'm putting up good enough numbers to get up to double A.
I would say it definitely was a double-edged sword. I mean, the reasoning behind it, I understood because they were capping me at 4 innings or 65 pitches pretty much the entire year. I think I had 3 or 4 starts where I was allowed 75 or 80 pitches or 5 innings. So I knew why I was not going up. The competitor in me always wants more pitches. Like, okay, like I feel great at 65. Let me go 80. And it's like, you're not going 80. You're going 4 innings or 65 pitches. Whatever comes first, that's what you got. So it was more so of just, all right, how can I be as efficient as possible, get 4 innings, and still put up like quality innings.
And so you went to Missouri State. I'm a little off the rails right now, but you're a Missouri State, correct? Or Mizzou guy. And I don't know why I said state at the end. That's I'm gonna get canceled for that. The double A for the Cards is in Spring. This was my question.
Yes,
Springfield,
Missouri.
Missouri. Okay, so
Yep.
Missouri State country. I'm sorry. You're a Mizzou Tiger. I'm gonna get canceled for that one. Does it excite you at all to get a little closer to the stomping grounds whenever I would assume double A is going to be coming up here this next season? So is it kind of you're getting a little further from home, but you're getting closer to the college stomping grounds? Like, is that exciting you at all?
Yes, I'm getting closer, I guess, away from home, closer to relatives. I have family in Oklahoma City and in Fort Smith, Arkansas. And then ironically, my girlfriend lives in Springfield, Missouri. So she's currently in PA school at Missouri State and has grown up there her entire life. So it's a little bit of a like bittersweet, like, okay, you're not near home. Parents can't be at every game, but you get to be at Springfield with the girlfriend and her family. So a little bit of both.
And
then having Columbia and closer is definitely good. I love Columbia.
Yeah, not Missouri State. Am not recommending Missouri State to anybody. Columbia is definitely the yes, exactly. We got a big one this next Saturday, which I might ask you a little later about because I'm sure you have some opinions on that. All right, so I did have some one-offs, but if you guys had baseball questions, Jamie or Chris, if you guys want to dive into some.
Yeah, I mean, mine's kind of a baseball question. It's 50-50. Out of all the minor league cities you've been to, we like to ask this just to get guys' perspective. What's the favorite city that you've been to, so far?
I grew up a Cardinals fan, and it really pains me to give the Cubs any props, but South Bend, Indiana, and their setup there is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
They were a 5-minute walk to the stadium, staying in downtown South Bend. You got breakfast spots all throughout downtown. One of them even gives you, I think, 10% off if you lose. Not an incentive to lose, but I mean, it's the closest one there. Shout out to Pegs. But the clubby, the facility, the stadium, everything's incredible. On Thursdays, they have a senior night, which is for Notre Dame seniors. They sit right behind the bullpen, and it's like $1 beers and $1 dogs. So there's a bunch of drunk guys just behind you just wanting to talk. None of them even were just like in your ear talking the whole time. They just wanted to talk light. It was hilarious. But South Bend, Indiana, unfortunately, the Cubs definitely was the best city that we played in. And then I'm also partial, not the best city, because Quad Cities, I get to sleep at home for 6 straight days and pet my dog. So that one obviously wins. But if we're going like true setup and we take out like my hometown pride of it, South Bend, Indiana won.
Nice. I have to put that on my bucket list. And also, as you said, being a Cardinals fan, what was that like? Go to school in Mizzou and then get drafted by the team you loved watching growing up.
Through the draft process, I never thought it was going to be the Cardinals. I thought it was going to be, if I'm remembering correctly, granted this is 4 years ago, it was Royals, Rockies, and Brewers is where I really thought the teams were. Cardinals weren't even in the picture until they were. And then when it finally came around, I was like, absolutely. Cardinals. Let's go.
Yeah. So those were.
I was gonna say it's. I feel like the Cards aren't really. It's been rare lately for Mizzou guys to end up in that system. I feel like I thought for sure when Tanner Houck was coming out of St. Louis for high school, he got drafted by the Blue Jays, and I was kind of like, man, like I thought the Cards would be all over that, but it is kind of cool though that you got to go to your hometown team. I was gonna ask you about Iowa. There is a guy in the Red Sox system that's from Iowa. You might know the name, Theo Dinlinger.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I think he's from like a town that's maybe there. I'm gonna say it wrong. It starts with a D.
Dubuque?
I'm not even gonna say Dubuque. There you go.
Okay,
Had
that's up by
had
Wisconsin.
a Q in it. Okay.
Yeah.
He's from
an hour and a half
there.
away.
Okay. He went to Bradley for college baseball, but he's now
Okay.
in the Red Sox system. And I had asked him at one point, I'm like, what was high school baseball like in Iowa? Like I don't really you only hear about college football in Iowa. So like what was it like, I guess, just playing baseball and sports in Iowa?
I have a gripe to pick with Iowa when it comes to baseball because we play in the summer, and that is absolutely stupid to me. I think we're one of like 3 states that do that. I think Wyoming, I don't even know if they have high school baseball anymore, and Wisconsin, I think just transitioned into you could pick spring or summer, and Iowa's the only one that does summer to my knowledge. Maybe Wisconsin still, but yeah, Illinois, which is 5 minutes away, like Moline, Illinois is 5 minutes away from me. Their season opens up in March, and our first game is May 25th.
Wow.
So the entire time that the rest of the country is playing from March to May, Iowa does nothing except for the perfect game spring league, which it's great for hitters because you get to see reps, but it's not really set up for any pitcher because you don't have organized practices. You're throwing in 40-degree weather, having not thrown outside, and then you go outside and you're freezing and you get hurt and things get jumbled up. So I ended up leaving Iowa high school baseball my junior year and went and played for a travel team and stayed with the host family in Cincinnati.
Wow.
And then my senior year, I reclassified and went to Missouri early because I wasn't going to have the ability to play in the spring. And when the draft came around, I was going to have 2 starts before the draft actually happened. So it was either, okay, I'm not getting drafted and I'm going to school having had 2 starts and I'm going through winter workouts and missing my entire senior year, or I have 2 starts and I'm showing up to the FCL with less than 10 innings under my belt for the entire year. So it doesn't really pan out great for high school guys that way. But competitively, I would say it's okay. There's obviously, you have a ton of small cities. You can't have these massive cities like Scottsdale, Arizona, where we're at, where my buddy was telling me about how he had 8 Division I guys on his team. I was like, yeah, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen at all. But
It doesn't happen in a lot of places, but
no, it doesn't happen in a lot of places. But my high school teams were fairly good. We lost in we call sub-state finals. So there's 48 4A teams. All 48 make the state playoffs. You get broken into 6 subsets of 8, or no, 8 subsets of 6. So the 1 seed, if they win their first game, skips the second round and goes to the 3rd round, which is the sub-state final. So 8 teams end up making the state tournament, and that's where it used to be played in Des Moines at the AAA Stadium for the Iowa Cubs. I think now, after COVID, it might be played at the University of Iowa's field. But it's an interesting time, just because your season is from May to the end of July, and then you can play fall ball if you want, but if you don't, you play 2.5 months, and that's it.
I'm assuming Mizzou got interested in once when you did go to Cincinnati. Is that when the interest really started firing up, or?
So I committed to Missouri in January of my sophomore year of high school. So like I actually committed to Tim Jameson's staff, and then that next year the whole staff was resigned or let go, however you want to word it. And then the new staff came in and still honored my scholarship. But the interest to come in early started in the fall of my fall of my senior year. So I knew before like October of my senior year that I was going to go early, and our high school runs on block systems. So you take 4 classes each quarter. So a chemistry class is a semester long and an econ class is a quarter. So you can just rifle through your whole high school degree. And I needed 2 or 3 classes, and one of them was a gym class to graduate. So it was really easy for me to graduate and get to Missouri. The only difference is I didn't take any AP classes. So I came in with, I think, 3 college credits when I probably could have come in with like closer to 15.
It's interesting when you put it like that. I was never an AP guy either, so I felt like I was behind everybody else.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I took 1 class. I got a 1 on the stats exam. Not a good time.
I would not recommend. Not a good time at all.
I ended up getting A's in stats in college, but I got a 1 on the AP stats exam.
I don't even think I could have ever even gotten close to taking that test. Math was not my thing.
I should not have taken the test, but math was my thing, but that test was not.
Interesting. Chris, what do you get? You look like you want to.
I do. I got something for you. So I wanted to ask you about your time out here. So you played at Wareham when you were at the Cape Cod League. What was just your thoughts on the Cape out here in Massachusetts and your perspective on this area?
First thing that comes to mind is my host family, the DeAngelis. They're incredible. Love them. Still talk to them multiple times throughout the year. The baseball was great. The Wareham field was interesting. I've never seen a black infield before.
Wow.
But it was a lot of fun. That's still the most fun summer I've ever had playing baseball through growing up, and all the way probably even to now. I mean, just being on the Cape was incredible. And the lobster rolls and clam chowder wasn't half bad either.
I was going to ask you. That was going to be my next question, was the food. We usually ask players about their food experience, whether it's at the ballpark or wherever they're playing at. Did you get any opportunity to get outside the Cape, and did you get a chance to make your way out to like Boston or anything along those lines to kind of take in that
We played one time in Boston. We played at some high school field, and then also we had the pro day or whatever at Fenway. So just a very limited amount of time in Boston, and then one of the games, for some reason, we played in Hartford, Connecticut, at the Yard Goats Stadium, and that was a home game for us, even though we had to drive like 2.5-3 hours, whatever it is, to Hartford. Great stadium.
Nice.
I don't know why we went there though. Nice. But the stadiums were interesting, but the baseball was awesome and it were incredible.
All right, Andrew, I think we're ready for the random questions, the one-offs, as we like to do towards the end.
Well, you know that the first question is going to be the most controversial, but there is a right answer for this question, and I'm hoping with you being a Mizzou guy that you have been there at least. I know there's no locations in Iowa, but we're gonna see here. All right. So my first question here, and it's the most important. What is your go-to fried chicken fast food place?
I mean, fried chicken. I'm counting out Popeyes. So it's either Cane's or Chick-fil-A, and I don't really know if you can count Chick-fil-A as a fried sandwich, so I'm going to go with Cane's.
I don't think that's the answer Andrew was looking for.
It's not the answer.
I think Cane's.
The only other one that I can think of that's not in Iowa, that's in Columbia, is Slim's Chicken.
Oh,
is that what you're looking for?
No.
I was about to say, that's the only one I can think of.
You never went to Zaxby's in Columbia?
I'm not a Zaxby's guy.
Oh, man.
I support everything Ian just said. Let the record show. I think those were the right answers.
Not a Zaxby's guy.
Can I ask why?
I don't like the breading. It's like too crunchy for me. I want like the batter, not the super crunch.
So how I love Canes and I will never talk bad on Canes at all, but how can you hate or not hate it, but just not be a Zaxby's guy, but you can be a Canes guy? They're almost the same thing.
Because the bread is 10 times better.
Man, that didn't go the way I wanted it to go. Josh Lester is a Georgia guy. He's a Mizzou guy, and he said Canes or Zaxby's. He said Zaxby's, and there's two Zaxby's in Columbia. The one that's I think it's off of University Boulevard, is the better one. The other one's kind of like off campus, tucked away a little bit south.
Mm-hmm.
It's like south.
I know that one.
Yeah, it's like right next to a hotel, and there's some other stuff there.
Yeah.
He said that one was like the one to go to. He said the other one was terrible, apparently. Which I only went to that one by the hotel.
I don't even know what the other one is. I just know about the hotel.
Okay, Canes. I don't hate Canes, but Popeyes and Chick-fil-A was allowed in that too. I consider that fried chicken. I mean, it kind of is.
I'm not a huge Popeyes guy either. I've only had it 2 or 3 times, and one of them was at an airport, so probably not the best reasoning to throw it out, but wasn't a fan of it as much.
Yeah. Okay. Second question. If I ever found myself in Iowa, which I'm not sure when or if ever that'll ever happen, where would I find seafood at? Like good seafood. God.
Oh, dude, I don't know. Your grocery store. Like if you're going out
here,
you want a restaurant. I mean,
and it can't be Red Lobster.
No. And the sad thing is the only other thing I can think of is Joe's Crab Shack, which is not it either. I don't know. You're better off with a mom and pop, whatever city you're in, looking up seafood, because I can't think of a chain that is like really good seafood. It's hard.
So did you ever order seafood out anywhere growing up? Like, did you think, oh, like Joe's Crab Shack was the real stuff?
I mean, like, I would get salmon or catfish, but I wouldn't count catfish as seafood, but salmon, yeah.
Okay. I was curious. I grew up in St. Louis, so like I was kind of in the same boat where it's like, you know, the body of water here is the Mississippi. There could be like 100
I mean, you can get good catfish.
Yes, that is true. The catfish at the VFWs on a Friday was pretty freaking good, so I will give you that. But I don't think that's really seafood. I thought we called it. I forgot what we called it. Lake rat food or something. I forgot what we called it. I don't know. All right, Chris or Jamie, do you have any one-offs?
I do. So, I get a few, but I'll start with this. So, Halloween in the books. Did you happen to go out for Halloween? Did you do a costume? If not, have you done one in the past? And what was probably your most outside the box Halloween costume?
I'm a homebody, so I was at home, did not go out at all. But best Halloween costume was so every year at the zoo, Coach Beezer would do a Halloween party at his house, and like best costume would win a certain thing. Me and my roommates dressed up as the bench warmers, so we were Howie, Gus, and Richie. I was Richie, so that one was probably not outside the box, but that was probably the best one I've done in a while.
Okay.
How was Beezer's costume game?
He always did something with his wife. So I remember one time that he was like Batman, and then another year, I can't remember the movie about the women playing baseball, MLB baseball.
League of Their Own?
What is it? Yeah, League of Their Own. One year they wore costumes of League of Their Own. So they weren't bad, but he always did a couple's costume.
Okay. I didn't know what to expect. I always thought Beezer was super cool. And obviously all the players loved him. But that actually, I wanted to ask you a little bit about that too. And I guess my first part of this next question is, does it like kind of excite you? And I know we were kind of talking about it a little earlier and even off air of, a lot of the Mizzou guys being around, and with guys being drafted this past year, like Luke Mann and a few other guys, like, has it been exciting just seeing, a lot of Mizzou talent coming into professional baseball?
It definitely is. I mean, it's not just so much Mizzou. I mean, obviously you want all of your teammates, but just everywhere you go. You play summer ball. I played in lacrosse, Wisconsin, and I played out in Wareham. So just seeing all the guys that get their chance in pro ball is great. So like, I still keep up to date with like Connor Ash, like on a weekly or every other week basis. My roommate Trey Dillard just signed with the Phillies, Luke Mann. So just everybody that's in pro ball, it's great, especially when it's Mizzou. But just all of your buddies in general is where you love to see it. So like Brandon fought for the Diamondbacks. He started Game 3 against Scherzer. Like we played with him in the Cape. So getting to watch those games is like, wow, this is cool. Or Bryce Elder making his first All-Star game this year for the Braves. So it definitely is cool seeing it. Mizzou guys get their chance, but just everybody that you've ever played with as well. Yeah,
and also shout out Max Scherzer as well.
And Ian Kinsler for the special advisor.
Yeah.
It was rings.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because I remember when Lester was talking previously, he was with the Orioles this past year, and he was in the locker room with Kyle Gibson. And when Ian Kinsler was going through the coaching search, he was involved pretty heavily. He would call Kyle Gibson, and Lester just got to be kind of a part of it. He was kind of just like, because they were in the locker room together, and they were always talking about, like, oh, like what are they going to do for coach and everything. And Gibson was heavily involved with Kinsler on the search committee thing. So it was kind of cool that they were involving like some of the veterans, some of the guys that, put Mizzou on the map for the most part. So I thought that was actually really cool that they did that. And I think Carrick is the man. So definitely excited about that. I had one of my final questions here. I'm sure you follow Mizzou football quite a bit. Do we stand a chance on Saturday?
I mean, we definitely stand a chance. I think that it's a little disrespectful that we're 16-point underdogs. I get that it's at Georgia, but I mean, they've been playing incredible. The defense has shown up. Minus the LSU game, 50 points is not going to win us a game. But if we can make it a little bit of a dogfight of like 24, 27, 31, 27, something like that, I like our chances.
I agree, man. I looked at the line today and it was 15, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, are we not like 12th in the college football playoff ranking right now? Like,
you got to be kidding me, right?
STP, man, I love that. I love what Drinkwitz is doing. I absolutely, I'm convinced we're going to win that game, which is going to probably backfire, but it is what it is. It's the life of
you got to have the fandom. I'm excited for the basketball season here starting on Monday.
Oh, that's right. College basketball.
Yeah, college basketball starts on Monday.
I kind of forgot about that. Snuck up on me here. All right, Chris, Jamie, I got one baseball question left to kind of end it. So do you guys have emptying the bench here? Do you got any final thoughts?
I got kind of one off, which isn't nearly as much as the fried chicken one. And one more baseball one. Just the one off would be, if you weren't playing baseball, I know you said lacrosse, but what sport would you be playing if it wasn't baseball?
Golf. I'm okay. I didn't play a lot as a kid. I played probably 3 or 4 times a year, but as a pitcher, and that was the giant perk of Peoria, is we had 2 golf courses that would let us play for free. So I'd be like, hey, I want a tee time for 9 o'clock today. They're like, all right, see you soon. And then you walk in, get your cart, and drive off and play 18 holes or whatever you wanted to do. So I got a lot better because of that, but I would throw my time into golf for sure.
That's nice. I think I did golf a couple weeks ago here, and there's a group behind us, and it got to the point where I just stopped hitting. And I was like, you guys get your stuff done. I'll go after you.
You can play through. Come on.
Yeah, I was like, I have nothing to do today. You guys just go. Then my last one would be, if you could pick one, baseball memory, whether it's from the minors, from college, what would be your favorite, or what stands out the most?
Easily pitching at home. Getting to pitch in Quad Cities this year. So the first time I came back, I think I handed out or like wrote down like 56 names for tickets. And then my mom has 2 book clubs. So both book clubs skipped book club and went to the game. My dad's slow pitch softball team came to the game. They had a suite. The youth baseball team that I played for has 17 teams in the organization, and I don't know how many of them showed up. So there's probably like over 600 people. It was truly a home game for us with crowd noise until I got pulled in like the fourth or fifth inning. But it was incredible. Like I was outside the dugout for like an hour after the game signing stuff for kids. But that was the full circle of watching games there as a kid to going to college, having rehab, coming back and getting to pitch there twice was incredible.
My random last one-off question is, because I've seen a few people comment on this through social media. I've saw some weird TikToks, but how early is too early to put up a Christmas tree?
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up because my girlfriend does it starting November 1st. She calls November 1st Christmas 1st. I'm like, that's not how this works. You can put it up the day after Thanksgiving. There's no Christmas music or like Christmas tree before Thanksgiving. Drives me crazy. There's a time and a place. Black Friday, feel free, blast the Christmas music. The day before, there better not be a tree up.
The second that November 1st hit, usually before I go to bed or when I wake up in the morning, try to get going, I'll clear through the socials and I'll go on TikTok. And yesterday morning, it was a TikTok of, I guess from like the Jason movie, they like dubbed over the All I Want for Christmas from Mariah Carey.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes through and he like kicks it. And it got me thinking, I was like, I wonder, what people truly do. Now, full disclosure, I don't have a lot of space. I have a 1-bedroom apartment and I have storage, but I don't have like, my Christmas tree has to stay behind my bedroom door. It won't fit in the closet. Like if I do, I'll ruin it. And the story about my Christmas tree is I actually bought it about 4 years ago from QVC, but I was drunk.
What the hell?
So I was drunk. I was at the bar. I remember like eyeing Christmas trees online. I'm like, oh, it's like easy pay. Well, I ended up spending like $400 on it. I got the wrong size. So you bet your ass that this tree right now is staring me right down. Right there. So, but it's really mainly for space. But I was just actually curious though, as to how others perceive Christmas tree decorating and everything. So,
the day after Thanksgiving, free. The day before, like you walk into probably like JCPenney's right now, they're probably playing Christmas music. It's like
I would guarantee it was probably last week they probably started.
Probably. It's like
Dude, they already did it. Target already had all the stuff up already, like a week or two
ago. Of course
ago.
they do. Of course.
Nuts,
Leave it to Target.
All right.
And that's like the best holiday too, right? Is Thanksgiving, because it's like,
yeah,
you get time with family, and literally what it's all about is just eating food. Like, how can you not enjoy that?
Yeah.
Why do you want to
You
skip
get to
over
eat
that?
anything and everything you want, and then when it's done and over, you go in and you grab cold ham out of the fridge. I mean, it can't be better.
I agree, man.
You do ham, you do turkey and ham.
We do both.
Do both?
I like ham more. I'll eat turkey, but if I had my way, it'd be ham.
Any particular side? So like to me, I would love to do like a Friendsgiving where it's strictly no main dish, it's all sides. Like everybody just bring your favorite side. What will be your favorite go-to, have to have it every Thanksgiving?
So my mom does a like green beans and cashews with like a honey glaze. I love that. And then sweet potatoes with marshmallow fluff.
Right.
I'm in.
That's the big one that I have to have. Is that one.
It kind of sounds like dessert though.
It definitely is, but it's so good.
You get the gooey from the marshmallow when it melts into that sweet potato.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
it definitely is more of a dessert, but
yeah.
Now you guys got me hungry. I have to make up a whole meal after this.
Telling you, Friendsgiving of all sides needs to be a thing.
I always thought I thought my fiance was crazy because she buys stuffing like year round. Like she'll get it and we'll eat it in like March. And I'm just like, I thought only people ate this at like Thanksgiving time, but she loves.
I'm with you. I didn't know people really did that.
I didn't either, man.
Year round as a side.
All year long, they sell it, and she'll get it for a meal and be like, "Oh yeah, we're eating like chicken with like broccoli and stuffing." And I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "Well,
I mean, I've occasionally had stuff, or like I guess we call it dressing if it's not stuffing. Like I've had dressing like occasionally, but I guess that's more of a Bradley thing, huh?
I guess, man, it's weird to me. Might be a Peoria thing, so hopefully you're not back there this next year. But all jokes aside, but all right. So my last question: you've given us 45 minutes of time, so we definitely appreciate that. So to kind of just end things off, are you a goals guy at all? Like, do you set goals going into each year?
As a kid in high school, I would put like printouts of the goals that I wanted and tape them up to my like closet door. So yeah.
Okay. So I guess now that you're going into an off season, you're healthy. You are going into spring training healthy. What goals do you have in mind, I guess, on the field and off the field as you enter your next season here?
The biggest thing for this like off-season goal is to clean up the mechanics, try and do a better job of keeping my shoulders back at like plant. I tend to be a little bit too rotational rather than segmented. So trying to clean that up, help keep the arm healthy. And the biggest goal is to try and add some velo to the slider. I'd like it to be in like the 84 to 87 range, whereas this year it was 82 to 85. And I think just having a year under my belt with it and being more comfortable, being able to throw it a little bit harder should be realistic goal. And then hopefully this grip change or manipulation, whatever you want to call it, can also help it as well.
Well, I definitely will be looking out for you whenever the spring training comes around, and we appreciate the time, giving us 46 minutes of your time. So definitely appreciate that, and we're gonna be looking forward to seeing you hopefully in Springfield, Missouri, as we start the 2024
Hopefully.
year. So Ian, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.